Town.
I know, right? And I just could not understand what was going on with my ATM at the moment. It was just my card was not working, and I was there like, I've got $40 worth of tuna fish. I know you've got cats.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
shit, we're live. Hey, hi ho. This is Bruce. My name is Bruce Lombardo. My friend Janet, Another Planet, and Bear, the Gen X GM, creator of the next greatest superhero role playing game that you should be a member and part of one of the biggest revolutions in superhero RPGs. He's with us today.
There's a term called overselling. You just
All
did.
right. I know.
But anyway, that's okay. Let's talk about the movie, baby.
Yeah, we just watched a film that Bear gently suggested this movie to us after we watched
Oh,
the
sorry.
film.
I didn't know it was Bear.
I gently suggested it, like you bite them on the ear to distract them. Yeah, that's the way it is.
It was fun. I we watched the movie Iceman, and I still like that movie, although I see it a little different now as an adult. Bear really saw it differently than when he saw it when it first came out.
Mhm.
But I wanted to redeem Timothy Hutton in all our eyes.
This is definitely a movie that does that. Thank you,
You are so welcome, sir.
Janet. Had you ever heard of this movie before?
Mm-mm.
Okay, you
I've
never
heard of
saw it.
every actor that was in it. I was really surprised how many big actors were in this movie and that I hadn't seen it before. I was really surprised, but it might have been if Timothy Hutton was like pushed to the front and they were doing a lot of things that you got to see this movie. That's probably why I didn't see it because I really didn't like Timothy Hutton as an actor, so I wouldn't have rushed out to watch any movie with him or rent it or anything. So that's probably
It,
one reason why I
I
had.
I'm just going to ask: is it because of the Timothy Huttonism of the 1980s, particularly between 1983 and 1986?
No, not for me. I never really paid that much attention to him. I saw him in a couple movies, that we rented in the '90s, and I just was not impressed with him. I just didn't think he was that good of an actor. Just like I didn't think that a few other people that we've talked about in other movies that we've done, I didn't really think their acting is very good. So I just don't waste my time. And remember, I like indie movies, so I'd be more apt to go watch a movie just because it was an indie movie than
I wanted to see this
watch them.
movie when I was younger, but I didn't because I had already seen Singles, and I didn't get a chance to see Reality Bites at the theater, and I still need to see that because I was always explaining there's three movies that are must sees that are rom coms of the '90s that let you get a good feel for like the feel, and that is Singles, Reality Bites, Beautiful Girls. And go ahead,
None of those are rom coms.
you don't feel
No, rom coms are lighthearted, fun, wacky twists, and that's a rom com. These are slice of life, down to earth, maybe even philosophical. But they're not. They have humor in them, absolutely, but they're not, and they have romance in them, but they're not rom coms. My best friend's wedding, rom com. Something about Mary,
Harry Met
rom
Sally.
com. Harry Met Sally, rom com. You know what I mean? Singles, Reality Bites, and Beautiful Girls are almost like telling you the story of Generation X going from their 20s to their 30s. It's
okay.
absolutely amazing.
Because I always thought those three were rom coms, and that's my bad. I've never
Oh,
seen a
no,
rom com.
we can just argue, wording. That's all.
Well,
Succession.
honestly, when I saw the cast, when you guys were telling me about
Hello.
this, I never even would have probably if I'd seen the trailer and stuff, I probably wouldn't have saw it just simply because it seemed like a guy's movie to me. Okay, I'm not trying to say anything bad, but it seemed like a bunch of guys, just like remember the movie that we did about the strippers, and they were all best friends and they were all without jobs.
No, which
Okay.
movie was
The
that?
Full Monty. The Full Monty. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
It's
that's
another movie like that to me about bonding between
Yeah, this
males and struggles they were having in their relationships in their lives. It's like overcoming things in their lives to try to reach somewhere different. And that's what I felt like with this.
while this may be more male focused in the primary characters, I think the female characters are done very well, show a very wide gamut of female behavior. They're not all the same type. You understand, empathize, and can even sympathize in some cases with their behavioral choices. I think it's the greatest work Rosie O'Donnell's ever done in her career. I think Mira Sorvino, who I couldn't stand in so many other movies, absolutely won me over in this movie. I even like the girl who plays her best friend, who's married to the big ginger guy. She's I don't know who she is as an actress, but she's just got a charm in this movie. And those scenes where the three of them are just standing around being girls together, it's like, my God, I'm watching my sisters. You know what I mean? It's just like
Me
it's
too.
so
I felt the same exact way.
Yeah.
It was
Now,
awesome.
Ted Demi had all the cast, I think just the men, come up 2 weeks early or something to where they shot this in Wisconsin, I believe, and live in a house together so they could all bond. So that way, when you put them on screen together, they were all very comfortable with each other. And it clearly shows and works.
Yeah, I read that little tidbit, and I was like, it worked. Definitely worked. The director's point of view, to me, I felt like was completely fulfilled from what I would believe a director's trying to pull out from his characters and to tell a story.
But it's a very philosophical film for me. There's something I'm going to save for a bit later when we start talking about the characters, but there is a bit of magic in my mind in this movie. And it's a very cool thing that I think a lot of people don't get when they watch it. But when I've had discussions with other people and talk about it, they're kind of like, oh, and it's like, it's very metaphysical, and it's not meant to be, this is what's happening, but it's almost like a theme that runs through it. Janet, your hair always wins the day.
Oh, I didn't. Why did someone say something about my hair?
Soy Boy's talking about your Soy Base Jeremy's talking about your new do. Oh no, sorry, it was King Eric. Sorry, King Eric. My apologies. And no, Monsters Inc. is not a rom-com. Stop your nonsense.
Yeah, you like my hair? That's what I was asking him. So thank you.
What now, Bruce?
I just was talking about talking about this, and Six Nations came in. He was messing with his earbuds, his microphone. Hey, Six Nations, how did you enjoy the film?
It was in my wheelhouse, labeled as a comedy. I tend to avoid those movies unless, like, if I was in a current relationship with a girlfriend, we'd pick some movies. And it was like, okay, well, female-centric romantic comedy. I'll sit through them and just keep trying to pass out. This was interesting because it was like, as the life crisis of Gen X got in their 30s, trying to navigate life or doing horrible things.
Can I?
And bad.
And
it's not like, well, with the exception of character, being the backdoor man. It's like it's a dose of comedy. It's not your typical comedy, quote unquote.
There's no moment in the film. There's no. I'm hearing you on this because there's no moment in the film where you go, "Oh, bullshit." You know what I mean? Like, there's no moment where you just go, "That never would happen." But in every rom-com you've ever seen, there's that moment where you just go, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah,
you know, like, give me a break. You know, give me a break. Come on. So I like that.
And there was some moment I can see some of my friends who grew up and can't get any people, like, if it happens, half the town knows about it.
Oh yeah.
They may not say something, but they'll definitely whisper after or what have you. And it was nice the your typical Hollywood schlock romantic comedies. There was kind,
Kind of, sort of.
for the most part, but it was different. Well written, ensemble cast that actually did pretty good. Like, I didn't care for some of the actors. I agree. Like Rosie O'Donnell in 2020 was completely different from her character that she portrayed in 6.
Yeah.
Probably her best role. Timothy Hutton didn't quite musician guy, but there. The soundtrack, because like sometimes they add songs to the soundtrack, but there's some good tunes. I liked that. The writing was well done. From what I could see, like, it was believable.
I'm going to disagree with that, but I'll let you speak. Sorry.
I was going to say I fell hook, like line and sinker for it. I believe that it was a smaller town that he came back to. I love the quaint little houses they used as the two main homes for Timothy Hutton and his next door neighbor. They were very believable for me. The snow on the ground was believable. I mean, they did. You could tell they did a very good job at trying to portray something to me as a viewer to bring me into a small town feel. And the friends definitely made me believe it too. The way that they looked at each other and greeted each other was like a lot of my guy friends when I went to my high school reunion. You know how they were, they were like, you could see that spark of high schoolism jump out, and they all got excited just to give a bro hug, extra manly afterward, that type of thing. I loved it. I thought that honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but you know how there's a few movies I really, really love. I think this is going to be pushing a few of them down, and I'm going to move this up there because I'm really surprised how well the director took the script and put it on screen for me to see it and see exactly what I feel he was trying to get me to see. You don't see that very often. I mean, you really don't.
Yeah. I saw this movie in '96 in the theaters. Got dragged to it by a friend who was not a movie reviewer, but he had a job working for the rating company, so he'd have to go to movies and keep track of violence, nudity, and all that. And the rules were always the same. After 5 instances, he could just put much and then stop tracking. So, it was often he'd just watch the movie because it would get over real quick. But he took me to see this. He said, "Oh, you want to come?" I'm like, "Yeah, free movie, I'll go." And I love this movie. And I love this movie for a lot of reasons. And like I said, there's some metaphysical stuff I want to discuss later. But overall, I grew up in a town of 2,000 people. I grew up in a small town. And this reminded me of going home for Christmas every year. This reminded me of going home for Easter. This reminded me of, just the way things were. How you don't get to escape the small town. They're always going to see you as that small town person. But that whole thing he has where he talks about he's not going to be a musician, he's going to become a salesman. And his buddy just is harsh with him about it.
That's reality.
That hit for me because there was a point in my 20s where I was home for Christmas and I was talking with a friend of mine about how I'm just, I think I'm done with the film industry. I think I'm just going to get a real job, maybe work for my father or something, but I'm just tired of being in the film industry. And he gave me a similar sort of lambasting of, you can't work, and it was his way of saying, I really like what you're doing and that you're successful and you should keep doing it. But, that male thing of, I've known you since before we had testicles. I don't know how to talk to you like that, so I'm gonna insult you, or I'm gonna debase it, or I'm gonna dismiss it in a crueler way. Is how we relate to each other. So I really like that. I think that's something that they got very well throughout. Overall, it's going to be a very hit or miss movie for people. especially if you've never experienced this type of life. If you've never experienced the small town or you've never experienced that type of a close knit community, it's very difficult sometimes to understand films that are about it. They seem surreal to you. But if you have experienced it, this movie can really hit you home and can really, really tug the strings very, very well.
Yeah, I agree with you about that. Except I was trying to separate the different people from each other. You know, like Rosie O'Donnell and a few other characters, if they weren't with that person. The way Rosie O'Donnell acted with her guy friends when they were shopping, the way
Yes.
she was nonchalant about it, that's me. I could see myself in some of those characters when I was younger in high school with my guy friends. Because I was like, you go on and on. This is one of the things about them going on and on about how they want a good girl one day and they want to marry and have a white picket fence and have a kid. And I said, but yet every weekend you're trying to score with a brand new girl. So where are the good girls going to come from when you ruin all of them? See, that whole aspect that she had with the guys, it was very believable to me as a tomboy. I mean, so there, I think even if you weren't from a small town, that there was things from this movie with the characters that had something for somebody. There was something in there. The jock, you had the badass that was sleeping around with all the women, the married guys that liked looking at the other girls, and you also had the one guy that married his high school sweetheart and had two
Yep.
kids. You know, it had something for everyone.
And their moment after the trouble, their little moment when they come together, he's on the verge of tears.
Mhm.
You can see it. The actor's doing such a good job. He's showing this emotion, and she is magnificent. The way she plays this supportive, understanding wife who, up until this point in the film, she's run their marriage.
Mhm.
She's been the boss.
That's what you think.
Well, that's how it's displayed.
Mhm.
And then he
Yeah.
has that moment where he's like, "Not now," and then he runs out the door, and you see her; she almost breaks because this is the man that she's not used to. This
Mhm.
isn't the man that she deals with every day. So when he comes back and he's humbled and he's so apologetic, not just to her, but you can see he's being apologetic to himself for he doesn't like who he became. He doesn't like that he referred to this high school mentality because he's hanging out with his high school buddies. Powerful scene.
Yeah, I thought
Powerful.
it was very, very well done. And she really shined and made him even better of an actor simply because of the way they portrayed against each other, you know,
Yes.
back and forth.
Yes.
That made the scene really, really good. And you couldn't help but be drawn in to the emotion of the couple as parents. Of young children. And the other scene that he did is such a good job to me in, well, there was two more. The scene where he sees Timothy Hutton talking to the young girl and he's with his kid skating and he does that look over there like, oh, he better not step over the line because he's a dad now. So he looks at it and it as a dad. I like that. A very strong fatherly glance that he gave to him. See, that's what I mean. Different things like that he was able to do. And then stepping up, just like you said, the high school, we got to kick some ass, buddies thing. I loved it. I thought it was really good. I thought this director did such a phenomenal job at bringing out the characters' souls, basically, for everyone to care. Because you can't have a good movie and have people want to watch it if nobody gives a shit about the characters. Right?
Well, you're not wrong, Janet. But the thing is about this movie that I think really works for me is that everybody is presented at their worst and at their best. Whatever levels those are, they each have a moment of being the worst person they can possibly be, and then they have a moment of being the best person they can possibly be. For Michael Rappaport's character, it's removing the snow while crying and listening to Beth. You know, that's the best person he can be. You know, whereas for Timothy Hutton, it's that conversation where he has about being Winnie the Pooh and how, you know, she's Chris Robin and all that stuff. Like, that's him being at his best. That's him really showing that as much as he's having this weird midlife crisis feelings, he's smart enough and knows better that this is not a good idea and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, I think it plays women well. It plays men well. It doesn't take a side. It gives both of them their highs and their lows. So you see them more as real people in those moments. And I think that's
it was very raw. It was very raw. The scene where the girl is talking about Matt Dillon, her boyfriend that she's had for a few years, when she sits up in bed and says, at least you could have done is, you know, It's because she was heartbroken because she realized that he's making love to her, but he's not making love to her. He's making love to his lover. Okay, at least she felt that way by the way she reacted to him after she's getting out of bed with him, and you knew at that moment that she knew he was cheating. Okay, that it wasn't that he was sneaking around, and to me that was emotional for me. Okay, and the part where she's talking to her friends in the beauty shop about her feelings, she's trying to be honest, but she's not being honest with herself. Okay. And that comes across in the way that she acts, because she seems very emotional. She's raw in that scene. She's crying, and you can see that Rosie O'Donnell is trying, and she did a great job as being a friend to not hurt her more, but to be honest with her about she's got to get out of this relationship. This is tearing you down, and it's going to take you 2 years, and blah blah blah. She's just trying to fill the air to give her a chance to realize it's not on her, that he's a cheater, he's a scumbag, he's never going to get better. That's what girlfriends do, and sister stuff. Try to do that with her friends.
Rosie O'Donnell's character is the den mother of them all, right? Like she's the, and you can imagine when they were all younger, she was that bossy bitch in high school, told them what time it was and everybody. That whole thing where she says, let me explain something to you, okay? Girls with big tits have big asses. Girls with little tits have little asses. That's the way it goes. God doesn't fuck around. He's a fair guy. He gave the fatties big, beautiful tits and the skinnies nice, tiny niddlers. Not my rule. If you don't like it, call him, right? That stuck with me since '96. That's always stuck with me as something that I don't like about modern society with all the plastic surgeries that we're breaking that natural order. But that's neither here nor there. But the thing that kills me at the end of that entire rant, and it proves how much women do not understand how men see women, because she's giving him the very female side of what beauty is and explaining why he's wrong because he thinks all these things. And Matt Dillon goes, great ass. And then what's his name goes, nice tits, and they're talking about Rosie O'Donnell at that point.
Yeah, I know. But that shows you the difference between a man and a woman. Okay.
Yes.
Nature will never change. I don't care if it's 1,000 years from now. When a man first gets his testosterone and starts to kick in, he's going to go and look at this, that, and whatever else he can. And he's going to be grabbing, just like what's his name, that one comedian that says, be careful, it's not a worry stone. You get to rub it to death or whatever, that type of thing about his son with his hand in his pants all the time. It's real. Okay. That is real. That is a human. That's just us. That's humans.
Janet, I believe there are 3 people on this panel who we know how real it was being teenage boys. We're aware.
Definitely. I had a lot of teenage friends.
It was like our job. That's how much it mattered in our lives, if you need any perspective. But this is the thing. The film is really, really powerful at creating very good gender roles, very good humanity, and very good reality. So that's all I have to say about the film as a whole, beyond getting into weirder stuff after. So I'm going to shut up for a while and let you guys talk.
Well, I wanted to jump in real quick and say a few things that I took notes about, the different things about the way, I'm a woman, looking at the way the men talk to each other about women. Okay. In that, and plus I was a tomboy. So most of my friends in high school were all guys, and they did constantly, that's all they did was talk about the girls, how nice her tits were, how lower shirt was where you could see her cleavage, all those different things. And what was funny is these are older men about to go to their high school reunion, but they're all acting like high school students. I got a kick out of that. And they did a great job at making me believe that they were really high school buddies in high school, because they kept reverting back to that. And then they'd go back to today, their relationship, what's going on. The only mature one to me was the husband that was married, had kids. He's the one that was able to step up, and he grew up into his family until, like you said, when he found out his friend got the shit beat out of him in the parking lot and they were going to go and kick some ass, and he went right back to his high school years. Okay. It took something traumatic like that for him to do it, because he'd already evolved. Okay.
You know what I liked in that scene, by the way?
What?
Is what's his name's girlfriend? Timothy Hutton's girlfriend. when he's not sure what to do because he's evolved out of all this shit by being away in the city and not staying in the same hometown. And she just says, go.
Yeah, when Annabeth Gish, that's Tracy Stover, she pushes him into it. And Annabeth Gish
She
has
doesn't
been in
push him. She doesn't
a ton
push
of
him. She
stuff.
just gives him permission to do what he knows he wants to do and be right. And she also knows, and you can tell from the way she says it, she's sending him knowing he'll be a voice of reason with them. He'll be the one that tries to keep the situation from getting out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that shows you the depth of their relationship in just this little tiny interchange that if you blink, you'll miss it, but it gives depth to their relationship. And it's a really nice moment.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that where I started having in my own mind the emotions and stuff, especially after the scene where she sits up and says, you know, at least you could have done is try to pretend like you cared about me when you were making love to me instead of her.
That's Mira Sorvino's character.
I know, but I'm going back to that scene. When that all started, that's when my emotions from my own personal feelings were coming in. I was trying to push them back so that I could focus more on the movie, but sometimes that's what movies do. You know, music can do that. Plays can do that. Lots of different things can make you stir up your past emotions when you were a child or something you've been through, a death in your family, things like that. And after that, I just had a hard time because certain things would happen. I would get emotional and I'd tear up because I was putting myself into the position of the women and what they were going through. Now, the young girl, the whole thing with the 14-year-old, 13-year-old girl, I never thought that was inappropriate really at all. His thought process that when he was talking to the young girl, to me, when he was in her presence, I didn't feel he was inappropriate.
No, he was never.
I was that girl. Okay. I had conversations that were a little above my age range with guys that were older than me. And I never felt like anything that he said to her really was inappropriate. When she was portraying herself like maybe you can wait for me and stuff, it was in a dumb teenage young dumb girl like that's how we are. I mean, and young men are the same way. We daydream about being a fireman or a police officer or whatever it is that you decide you want to do one day as a man. Like, I'm going to be the quarterback of so-and-so's team because you want to play football. And the young women do the same thing. Daydream about marrying a handsome man and having my own home and a romantic life. That's the kind of stuff that we think about. So the portrayal from Natalie Portman for her character, I thought she did a really good job at playing a young girl that's in and out every day and has a boyfriend one day and doesn't, because she's a kid. Okay. And the way she looked at it, I thought she did good. Now, it teeter-tottered right on the edge. Okay. With Timothy Hutton and the way he spoke. Okay. For him, now I can't really tell you whether or not I felt that he would step over the fence, but the character that did think that he would teeter-totter was the one that perked up when he saw him out there with that girl. Okay. And when she fell back in his arms, stuff, that was all dumb, naive girl. Okay. I've been there and I was lucky in my life that I didn't have a person that tried to overgo the boundary. Right. But in this movie, Timothy Hutton didn't step over the boundary. So that, just like the other movie we watched about the forest, the Emerald Forest.
I love that
movie.
movie.
I said we had all these half-naked young women running around, but I never felt like it was sexual in any way about them being topless. Okay, it was like watching a documentary about real natives. So it wasn't until the girls were in the bar being treated as objects that I felt it was inappropriate. You see what I mean? Then the sexualization came into it. And I felt that in here, the person that was the most sexual in that relationship with the 14-year-old was the 14-year-old or the 13-year-old. She was the one that was pushing boundaries because she was too stupid and naive and young to not realize what boundaries she was trying to push. That's what I was going to say about that scene. To me, it was very believable of what could happen with a person who's in a relationship, but he doesn't know if he wants to be in a relationship. He's away from her. He's thinking about it. He's, all these emotions are going on. He doesn't know whether or not he wants to quit his job and start being a respectful man in the neighborhood where he can actually make a living and have a woman. But you don't know at this time what her career is or anything because he's not really talking about her. So, when she comes, I feel like at that time he realized, wow, man, I got it made. Look what I have. You know,
Well,
all
she
that
was
stuff helped him
superb.
realize that's what he wanted in his life, and he could spend the rest of his life with her. And that's what every woman wants. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, God, I wish I could just meet a man that wants me from who I am, loves who I am, and we can have conversations, walk hand in hand, all the things that, you know, all the romance was just flashing before my eyes. And this movie sparked that in me. I definitely would say this is a romantic movie. It reignites what we've lost if you watch it, from how far we've come since we were in high school until we're an adult now, having to pay taxes and make life choices that have nothing to do with high school anymore, and how life choices change our personalities. I really think this director did a phenomenal job at showing me that as a viewer.
Well, I posted, you were talking about what you're saying about fine someone who can accept you for who you are and all that. I posted this on my Facebook the other day, which is, I found it, I thought it was brilliant, which is, I'm single because I hate people, but I want to find one person who I don't hate, who also hates people, but doesn't hate me. And
That's spot on.
This is what we go through in life. We have these things that we want, and the person that we're supposed to be with is a unicorn. And they will always be a unicorn. But the thing is, you learn unicorns exist. And that's the point. But sometimes you can't hunt that unicorn. Maybe that's not your unicorn. Maybe that's someone else's unicorn. And I love that bit when she says to him, Uma Thurman's character, there's a guy out there who thinks this exact same thing about you because of how he feels about Tracy. The whole idea that everything he's thinking and ignoring his woman, and she's not enough for him, there's a guy out there thinking those same thoughts about his woman and hates him. And it's just like, this is the way it is. And this brings me to the point I wanted to make, and I'm going to make it now so we can really, you know, keep going, because I know you got a lot to say, Janet, and I want to get this out of the way before we run out of time. No, it's fine. You have a lot to say, and that's cool. The three, we'll say four primary women in the film that Timothy Hutton interacts with are Uma Thurman, Natalie Portman, Rosie O'Donnell, and Annabeth Gish. And philosophically, metaphysically speaking, they are women. They are the same woman at either different aspects of their life or different aspects of their journey. Natalie Portman, the wise, witty, cracking, inexperienced, the world in front of her. Uma Thurman, that grown up, having lived the road, having walked the road, and now having a sense of self, and still having all that freewheeling sort of energy. Rosie O'Donnell, the wisdom, the mother, the you know, they say the was it the maid, the mother, and the crone, right? Well, you know, she's sort of the mother of all of that. The crone is gone, which is his mother who has died, which is why you have that scene where you've got David Arquette, or whatever, yes, David Arquette, and the father, who I can't remember who the actor is, just gushing over her having made dinner. You know, and just superb, Tracy, just superb. And like, you know, just the fact that they've been missing this thing in their life and now it's here. And then Tracy representing the maturity and the absolute combination of all three of those other muses into one, which is his, which is the one for him. And she proves that point by saying the simplest thing: salesmen aren't sexy, musicians are sexy, salesmen are uncles. And that's the flash of the Uma Thurman or the Natalie Portman character within her. And that's what really makes it interesting for me. And that's why I sort of see this film as having a metaphysical concept to it. And I love that about it.
That scene that you just mentioned at the end is, to me, a woman. She portrays a woman who loves him for who he is. And the reason he's who he is because he plays the piano. He's musical. He thinks about life through his piano on some aspects, right? That's what she fell in love with. So if she tells him, well, I want you to become a salesman so we can have more money, then he won't be him anymore. You see what I mean?
Exactly.
And that is one of the things I tell people all the time. You fall in love with someone because of their eyes or their smile or things that make you laugh together. And then all of a sudden you get a ring on your finger. And what happens? You spend the whole rest of your relationship trying to change each other. Why? Why change what you're in love with? Why not come together, be together and be yourselves and have a lifelong relationship of enjoying each other's company and a journey that you both are on, you know. And it just tears me up when I see that over and over again. And that one scene where they're in bed together, Matt Dillon and I can't remember what was her name, the actor, redheaded actor.
Mira Sorvino?
The redhead, no, Lauren Holly.
Lauren Holly. Okay, that was a really good scene, and she did a good job of playing a bitch, basically. You know, a cougar that thinks that she can do whatever she wants and hurt whoever she wants because she has everything she wants in her life. She doesn't need anyone. See what I mean? She has that attitude, and she did good at it. But the scene when they're talking and he's saying, what, you know, why don't you want to be with me or whatever? And she says, I love Steven. And then he goes, then why are you fucking me? Okay. That whole scene, I love that because it proves to me when you see the movie, or it should prove to anyone who sees it, that anyone can cheat. A man and a woman, they cheat. A cheater is a cheater. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. And honestly, I really believe that most cheaters will never not be a cheater. Okay. It's really hard for me to get past that.
Well, okay, if you accept that there's a difference between someone who has cheated and a cheater.
Yeah,
there's a difference between those two things.
She's a cheater. That's the difference. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say about when she looked at him. She doesn't want to give up the cheating because that's excitement for her, the control that she has over her husband, her own life, every aspect of her life. You could tell she controlled every bit of it.
Okay? But there's another facet to that relationship that you're also maybe not hitting, or maybe you just didn't mention. Mm-hmm. They're also high school. They're not cheaters. They're not running around fucking other people. Mm-mm. They're only fucking each other because they've been that power couple since high school. So this allows neither one of them to have to grow up completely. Mm-hmm. She, on the other hand, though, was practical and found a husband, has a family, and has her life set in place. He doesn't, but it's knocking at his door, and it's Mira Sorvino's character. And she's, she's trying her best to save him. And I think it's a lot more complex of a psychological film than most people would think, because you really have to pay attention and look at the interpersonal relationships between the characters and try and figure out why they're doing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Once you start analyzing it from that point of view, the movie's depth just becomes like...
Yeah, to me, they could have even went on. The movie it didn't even seem like it was as long as it was. It could have gone another hour, and I probably wouldn't have realized it was another hour long. If they kept the script the way it was and they kept the story intriguing about the different characters, I honestly could have watched it another hour. I mean, I really did. That's how good it was.
The writer did a TV series that only lasted 2 seasons, which is basically sort of the follow-up to this movie in a way that it's about the same town, Knightsbridge, and this writer coming home. And his successful novel talked about all the people in his hometown. So now he has to be at home and then deal with all these people who are very angry about the things he wrote about them. So I didn't know it existed. I'm going to try and find it so I can watch it. But apparently it was really good.
October Road asks, when do we tell Janet, boys?
Tell me what.
Yeah, what are we telling her?
Yeah, the 2 seasons of the continuation of this Knights whatever crossing, and the problem I have with this movie is very minute. It's a very small problem. It's the quote unquote the setting. The setting is not the problem. It's the fact they're trying to tell you this is Massachusetts. Bullshit. I know Massachusetts, and I know the Midwest. I lived in the Midwest for 31 years. I have a lot of friends. I have some family from the fucking Eastern Seaboard, and they're miserable. And I know Massachusetts. This movie portrays the Midwest. These people are not miserable. They don't go, oh my God, did you feel the fucking cold today? My nipples were cutting into my bra. And they didn't say things like, harder, harder, harder. They made normal people noises, okay? Like what Bear and Janet talk about. They can say things and they're enunciated properly. It's amazing. And this movie does a very poor job of trying to be from Massachusetts because it's not. Yeah. That's
The
the
ice
only
fishing alone.
I'm so happy that I'm not such a stickler about little things like someone's accent being perfect, or if they're holding the gun exactly right, or if they put their finger on the trigger, little things like that. I can watch a movie and get total enjoyment out of it without worrying about every little aspect sitting here or there being perfect. If the acting is good and the director does a phenomenal job like this, they could have other flaws that I wouldn't even care about, simply for the fact I was entertained. I mean, really entertained through the whole movie. You see what I mean? To me, that's what I want from movies, entertainment. It's what I'm paying for. Take me away from my life for 2 hours of time and make me think about the movie when I leave and say, damn, that was good. I gotta get my friend to go with me and see it. That is a movie that to me deserves something, because it was good. It did entertain me. It gave me everything I paid for.
You paid for the whole seat, but you'll only use the edge.
But also, the way the men interacted with the young, hot blonde that comes walking in the bar.
Oh my
You know
God,
what I mean?
that scene is so funny.
I think it was great, because I have been in a room with a bunch of guy friends, through the years, and they all act the same way. From high school all the way till now, men still do that. They all notice
chest
pulling.
puffing.
They all watch the girl. I
And then
love
all the
that.
chest puffing, and they're all like, well, we own our own business. Oh, he plays piano, and then later, why did you tell her that he plays piano? We can't compete with that. It's
I
just
loved it. I thought it was very good, a very good scene. I really, there's so many different things about this movie. I couldn't believe how good it was. I'm really, really glad I watched it. But I'll shut up for a few minutes and let Bruce and Six
I'll get a
Nations
cup of coffee and listen to the
jump in
distance
and
while
say a
Bruce
few
talks.
things. So
All right,
you
well,
two
you
go
start
for it,
talking
and
now.
I'll see if anything you guys say makes me think of something else that I was thinking about.
Go ahead, Six Nations.
Okay. So some of the scenes in the movie, like the interaction between Timothy Hutton and Natalie Portman, reminded me of a few years back. I was hanging out with my buddy, and one of them just got done with a or something, and she was really completely oblivious out in the woods, and we were hanging out, and he was showing me a parcel property that to buy. She was just kind of gasping, and I was like, yeah, whatever, not really paying attention. She's so keep your distance. And I was like, what? Oh shit. Didn't even realize what was going on. And I could see that interaction between Lee and Timothy.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it portrayed. You don't see that a lot. There's always some sort of over the top or surrealness to it, and this was very, very grounded, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So something that isn't really in my wheelhouse of movies, because it doesn't do horror or action stuff that I was raised on. It was nice. It was refreshing. It was the ordinary that you look at it and now I'm going to be looking forward to this writer or what have you. Maybe when they do something else. It's enjoyable film.
Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised by it. I really thought that when I started looking at the cast list back in the day, '96, not focused on things. I don't have a reverse TDS towards Hollywood. Like, oh my God, that's a bunch of Hollywood liberal type. No, Rosie O'Donnell was not the bad girl. She was a lady that was on Comedy Central. She had regular appearances on there. She was funny. She talked about things that made her appeal to people of most stripes. She really, you really didn't give a shit if she ate box for a living. You just wanted her to fucking get on stage with a microphone and rattle off funny shit, and she did. She was good. That's why she got selected to be a fucking talk show host. And for a while, she was riding high. She was able to lie to the audience. Oh, what a cutie patootie! Remember the fucking doll she had? My mom had one of those. So she came off as somebody that was pretty much like what Bear explained earlier. You know, she's kind of like the head bitch or HNOC, however you want to view it. That's her. She was the alpha female. And then you've got.
Well, can I jump in really quick about what you said about Rosie O'Donnell?
Yeah.
One of the things that I think the reason why her body shape and everything for her character fit the way she reacted to all of her friends and the guy friends too, and did such a good job in this for this part of the movie is because all my friends that I've ever had that were short, okay, women, I'm talking about really short or really tall and lanky. They really weren't, in
Sorry,
the
tall and
middle.
lanky? What was
Yeah,
that? I
they
heard
went
tall
from
and lanky.
like a 3 or she was a 4 or lower. Okay, every one of my friends that were like that the guys ranked them that way, they were all like that. They were very
Are
smart
we
and
talking
articulate.
numerically or by?
Well, I'm talking about the way they looked, the way they dressed, and things like that is the reason why she did such a good job at her characters, because in real life, a girl that's never treated like the 10 or the girl that turns the heads, you know what I mean? That one, which was me for very, very, very many years of my childhood, because I had 2 sisters, one above me, one below me, both blonde, built like a brick house. They started developing at 11 and I was 16 before I even really started even looking like a girl, I guess, to guys. But the thing is that I was that one. I was the one that everyone wanted to have as their pal, not the girlfriend. Okay, that type of thing. And to me, when you have that type of you grow up that way, you tend to have friends that talk to you about problems and things like that. So you think differently, you learn differently, and you try to become a problem solver. And that's how you get into the relationships with guys and girls. And if you're not a stuck-up snob, or you're not down on all men because they're not fawning over you or whatever, that type of thing, you become their friend. Like Rosie O'Donnell's character in this movie was friends with these guys and talked to them like the other guys did, basically. She wasn't worried about them not being friends with her anymore because she was being honest, and they accepted her that way. See, that's what made it so good. And I had lots of friends like that because I was that girl. I was the one, the nerd that hung out with all the guys that not the jocks. I was out with some of the skaters, some of the guys that dressed in all black and had black fingernails. I hung out with them because I was one of them. I didn't dress like that. I just dressed in blue jeans and a ponytail and a ball cap, basically, because I didn't put in the extra work that all these girls spend 5 hours blow drying their bangs just right and shit. I just never thought that was important. But that's why she did such a good job at her part, is because she's a good actress. I mean, I've seen her in a few things, and I think she's a really good actress. But the character she played in this movie, to me, was very believable, because I've had friends just like that were friends with the girls and the guys, and everybody went to her when they had a problem because she always worked on that, because that was the center of all the relationships she had through high school and in college, was being the problem solver. So that's the personality that I saw with her in this movie, and she did a phenomenal job playing that person. That's what I wanted to add to what you were saying, Bruce. Sorry.
Yeah, Bruce, take that.
Okay, and I accept that. The thing is that I want to really, like, aside from the fact that they lied to me and said it's Massachusetts, like, I really think this movie felt so much more like a Minnesota film. And I'm going to say Minnesota, or even like a parallel movie to what was that one we did where that's in the UP, Greg Daniels and Harv Fresnel.
Something in the Moonlight.
Yeah, Escanaba in the
Yeah,
Moonlight.
Escanaba in the Moonlight.
Escanaba in the Moonlight. That movie there, this could be a parallel to that because that movie is about a bunch of rural hicks that really enjoy deer season. And this movie is about a bunch of city folk that they kind of go, or a city guy that goes back to his small town to enjoy small town life for a weekend and get his head clear before the big 10-year high school reunion. And I don't understand exactly this, but it's been happening since I turned 18. Generation X has been on mental and responsible vacation since they hit adulthood. No offense to anybody at Gen X, but it just feels like Gen X people very rarely do you hear good things about Generation X. You hear things about the boomers, you hear things about millennials or Zoomers, but Gen X is getting the brunt, the hell beat out of it over the last 20 years. And
May I jump in on that when you're done, please? We may
yeah, and the thing is that it just feels weird that, at the age of 28, you would be like, hey, I need a mental break from all of this. Really? At age 28, I still was fighting to try to keep a steady job because where I lived was economically infeasible and unable to keep steady jobs because there was just the industry would come in, set up for a season, leave. And unless you were agriculture, you weren't keeping a job steady. You had to be bred into that job. Go ahead, Bear.
So first of all, we'll call myself the de facto ambassador of Gen X, given I am Bear, the Gen X GM, and having spent way too much of this series, the Gen X experience is not uniform. So that's that. Secondly, we are the they call us the forgotten generation, the overlooked generation, and that's kind of who we are. That is kind of what we are. We're not here to change the world. We're here to bitch about it. We're not here to make a difference. We're here to complain about the shit going on around us. The boomers, the millennials, even these younger kids, they think their job is to change the world. We never felt that way. Even when we protested nuclear war, it was our older boomer, late boomer siblings that were the ones going out and doing the stuff. We were the whatever generation. We were the latchkey kids. We were feral. We were raised in the wild. You know what I mean? So to expect
for ourselves.
And so to expect us to step up and in the last 20 years, no, not our job, not what we want to do, not who we're here to be. We're here to just get shit done. And that's the one thing that everybody will agree about on Gen X is when you want shit done, get a Gen Xer because we're going to get shit done. Now, that's not a uniform thing. That doesn't mean everybody in our generation is the same way. That would be absolutely silly. There are some decent boomers, there are some great millennials, and there are some shit Gen Xers. But overall, we tend to be a more laissez-faire type of generation, especially in the West. We tend to be more, not my fucking problem. Like we are the generation that coined the term whatever as a catchphrase, but I think we are also the not my monkeys, not my circus generation, in that we're not going to stick ourselves into things because they say we turned 30 at 13 and never grew from there. And it's absolutely fairly true because if you look at most Gen Xers in their 20s to 30s, we had our midlife crises before our midlife. Mm-hmm. We had our midlife crises at 30. You know what I mean? At 30, we had our midlife crisis. Most of the generations before us, it was 45, maybe 50. Us, it's 30. We were like, what am I doing with my life? The world makes no sense because we grew into maturity in the greatest period of technological change in the last 1,000 years. Mm-hmm. Our entire world changed, and everything we were taught, everything we were raised for, everything we were brought up to believe went out the fucking window. And we were left with no skill set to handle it.
Hey, Bear, I got one for you. You're never going to go around with a pocket calculator in your pocket. I remember that being fed to me 30 times a fucking year.
Oh my God, every day, or that constant thing we would get on our reports from school does not live up to potential. We never wanted to live up to your view of potential. We never wanted to be the person you wanted us to be. We were this really rebellious generation, but not in a destructive way, just in a, okay, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. You know what I mean? I just wanted a Pepsi, Mom. You're on drugs. No, I just wanted a Pepsi, Mom. You know, like that's the sort of thing with us, right? It's a very, very, very weird thing. And I think that's what makes this movie fun is that you see these people who have achieved whatever level of success they have, and they're just holding on to that. They've got something, they're going to hold on to it. And that's because they're from a small town. And then you have the one guy who left the small town, went to the city, and comes back. And what is he full of? Self-doubt, unsure of his way. He's never going to make it as a musician, even though he has a steady gig and he's making money playing piano.
Mm-hmm.
He's not doing enough.
But he's
right?
not making more.
He's not making bling. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really, really, really good look at who we are as a generation and what our behavior patterns were like, especially from the Western North American perspective.
Yeah, but do you agree with me? Do you think that this, if you took this script and tried to make another movie, that everything in this movie still pertains to what's going on in our lives? I think it does.
You can't judge a movie by its trailer, my son. You got to watch the movie, not the trailer.
Yeah.
The trailer is not a good indication of anything.
I don't agree that me either. To me, the movie was 10 times better than the trailer. The trailer gave me a small taste of what might be in the movie and made me say, okay, kind of understand a little. But watching the movie, I loved the characters. I loved their interaction. I cried along with a few of them. I got pissed off about a few of them. All the things that you're supposed to get when you watch a movie. Okay, you're supposed to like what happens, or like and want to know what's going to happen with the characters as they evolve through their character arc through the movie. I mean, if you have no feelings for them, then what are you just going to go, okay, whatever, who gives a shit, right? But I cared about it. I wanted a happy ending for everyone except for one, and he didn't get it at the end anyway, so I was happy with that. He didn't make any effort. He did nothing but sit in his room, oogle and ogle at a bunch of girls, and just wants to be happy with Mary Jane and her or what was it, Rosie Palm and her 5 sisters or whatever. That's it. This is what he's going to have for the rest of his life, and that's what he deserves because he's not willing to make an effort. But if I saw Timothy Hutton's character realize that, like when he listened to what Uma Thurman said to him about when other people think about all the people that are looking at your woman the way that you're looking at that woman over there. You know what I mean? That's what people aren't looking at. They got something right in front of them every day. They could have that person having conversation, eating with them, cooking with them, taking walks with them, doing things, evolving, getting a pet together. I mean, all types of things that could be happening in your life, but because you're not looking at that person the way that you're thinking you want to look at all these bimbos on your wall as, as sexy and hot because she's smart, because she cares about you. She likes a lot of things that are interesting, and she's able to make money. She's able to do all these things instead of looking at that and saying, damn, that makes her even more sexy. I tell people that all the time. A guy that can go in and mop a kitchen and cook, even if it's not a gourmet meal, but he can cook and make a sandwich for us while other things are going on, that's sexy to me. I'm like, damn, I'm going to see him in an apron, I don't know. I guess I'm just not the same as other people, but that's what I felt. I felt these characters made me want to care about them, made me want to find out what's going to happen next in this movie. And that's a movie that I recommend to other people to watch, a movie that I think is something for everyone in this movie. I don't care if you're a man or woman or how old you are. Well, yeah, it's not for young kids, but teenagers.
So I'm gonna do Pedar's little line here for him. Just give me a second. I'll turn off my camera so you don't see my face.
Oh, okay.
In a world where a man paints me, Janet, you're not allowed in the recording studio anymore, Janet. Jesus. May I try now, Janet? May I?
Yeah, maybe I am talking about Love Actually, but I haven't seen that movie. I'm sorry. I'm replying to that guy in the Dell. I'm sorry. I'll turn off my mic.
No, it's okay. You do. I'm good. The moment has passed. First rule of comedy. When the moment passes, let it fucking go. Mm-hmm. Second rule of comedy, repetition. Third rule of comedy, repetition. Fourth rule of comedy, by the way, repetition. have nothing more to say. You're good.
So-
Go ahead. Jim. Go ahead.
So I have to ask, is this the last movie where Natalie Portman plays a young girl wise beyond her years? Because it seems like she did that for a long period, and then maybe I'm just wrong, but she was like the perfect Lolita character in the 90s. Or am I barking up the wrong tree?
Janet?
Well, you got to remember, you might see that because she was at that age and she was picked for lots of movies because she was a good actress, and she played those types of characters in the movies that you remember. But I'm sure there were other actresses that played those types of characters too. Wasn't Jodie Foster one like that? I don't know if they're the same age or whatever. I don't really know. But there's lots of young actresses that have portrayed those types of characters. It's just that it depends on how many are active at one certain time when certain movies are being made. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's the sadness of the Hollywood Lolita fetish, though. That's one of the big problems with it is that a lot of these directors and producers are very into young girls, right? And it's just the way it is. And young boys, from what I hear.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And I've seen it live in front of my eyes in my time in the film industry, and it's just disgusting. As a friend of mine once said to me, a lady friend, we were having lunch, and these 15-year-old girls went bouncing by, giggling like a giggle of girls. And she turned and she looked at me and she said, "Is it wrong to look at bee stings?" And I was sort of like, that's a fucking weird question, but okay. And then I thought about it for a second. I said, no, it's okay to look. It's wrong to touch. That's where the wrong comes in, because you can't help what your brain's going to do. Your brain's going to do what it's going to do. So just be quiet. Don't make a big stink about it. Don't be a creep, but just don't ever act on that fucking impulse. Well, a lot of these directors have this impulse. Like Polanski wasn't the only one. What's his name? Luc Besson. Not Luc Besson. Yeah, Luc Besson. He has it. Boy, does he have it. And in fact, to the point that he's the one who sexualized Natalie Portman first, right?
Yeah, he did.
Sorry.
He
really
really did.
Yeah.
Leon, but that's beside the point.
And I love the American version of Leon the Professional, just the Professional. Leon the Professional, fucking, I would rate that movie like an 82, but the Professional that we saw in America in 1994, I would give that a 96, because at the time that was my first real viewing of a true suspense movie that had just been released. I'd never seen a movie in theaters that was that suspenseful. I thought that was probably the best that you could get, and that's just how sheltered I was. That's not a quality rating of the movie, but for me, that movie was a 96 out of 100.
It's definitely a good film.
And I think the reason why I rate the two lower is because of all the sexual content in the European release, which some people are like, "Oh my God, why? How do you?" No. These are two movies I saw at different points in my life. Let's keep that in mind.
Well, time is always going to affect you on movies, right? When you see a movie versus when you rewatch a movie can either make you like or dislike the film. There are movies I didn't like when I was young that I absolutely love now, and there are movies I loved when I was younger that I rewatch and I go, no, why did I like that? What's wrong with me? Mm-hmm. Case in point, our last outing.
Yeah, Iceman was great in 1984 and 1987 when I rented it out on VHS and beta. I enjoyed it. Nowadays, it's like,
Well, I'm glad I'd never seen it, but I thought it was really good. I thought it was really good. I just didn't really care too much for Timothy Hutton in it, but I thought it was a good movie. I mean, I've seen a lot worse.
I love everything about that movie pretty much except for Timothy Hutton's character. Mm-hmm. The more I think about that movie, the further it drops down to the 70s. I think this movie has a lot of great things about it. Ted Deem just knew exactly how to work as director of photography if he had one. He knew how to talk to the scriptwriter. He knew how to discuss things and just get the background and the logistics set up to make almost the perfect 90s-esque movie, which this movie feels like it is completely saturated in the 90s, because back then in small town, I grew up in a town of like 300 people. We had another 130 people, but they were mentally disabled and they had a home they all lived in. So I can't really say that there was a 430 person town I lived in. We had 300 people plus 130 pieces of cargo, and that was it. And that was the town that I was in. uh, you're concerned for 3 months out of the year, like who has a snowplow, and you're trying to call up people when the weather's getting bad. Like, hey, listen, if you come over tomorrow about 4:30, I'll have $25 and a hot cup of Nestle Quick for you. I don't know if you guys have ever done that. I've scheduled that plenty of times, and it's really not. It's one of the main reasons why I love San Antonio, because I don't deal with that shit anymore. Sorry, there, Six Nations, as you watch the snow come to the ground.
2 or 3 years ago, we had one of the kids down to shovel snow out of the driveway, which I was all for. I'm the snowplow in the household.
Can I address what Exnard's saying after you're done, please? After you're done.
Oh yeah. So basically, we negotiated. Give them $20 to snow. It's going to take and money, and then about later he came back that it was too much, that his parents have worth of pay, and we were kind of put back at the idea it's too much. California prices versus Idaho prices, the economy is way different up here. They were thinking maybe $5 at most. That's the going rate. And it kind of oh yeah, we're not in Kansas anymore. This movie kind of gave me that. I had all these preconceived with the last 20 BS political drama saturating the airwaves. I was a teenager. I wouldn't watch this movie, and I saw it wasn't as my teenage loathed this movie, and then I was picking vibes that almost 30-year span I wouldn't normally pick up. It was pretty good. I'd get out of 100 average best. No. Well written, and for the most part, majority of the is well acted. But you were going to comment on...
Yeah, so Exnard says, I like Good Will Hunting, which is the same setting, Massachusetts. I can relate to Matt Damon's character. Maybe I could be convinced to give a fuck about Beautiful Girls 1996 if you explain. So I'm not sure Good Will Hunting will have anything to do, as they are completely different genre styles of film. But why the trailer is such a bad idea for this movie is that this movie is about the interpersonal relationships between the actors and how they play out on screen and how the actors bring them to life in the situations they're in. There is humor, there is emotion, there is pathos, there is excitement. It's a very good character piece movie. If you don't enjoy character dialogue driven films, this will not be for you. If you do enjoy movies about characters talking to each other, relating to each other, having epiphanies about their lives in their quest for self-discovery, this movie may actually work for you, or it may not, but I would recommend giving it a try. Jodie Foster was not as sexualized as much in Taxi Driver as she was in Carney. That's the film where they really made her into a little Lolita. You need to understand that, guys.
I've never seen Carney. I
It's
like
a hard
Taxi
watch.
Driver. Okay, is it as hard to watch as a George C. Scott movie, Hardcore?
Never.
I've
Oh,
not
that's
seen
when
either
his
one.
daughter does porn or something.
That's the one where his daughter is into pornography and he goes into the city
What
to try to grab
about
her.
Yeah, that's
the
an
girl
awful
from
film.
the
The what?
Six Nations.
I think he got
Six
zapped.
Nations. Are you with us? Six
This is the
Nations.
problem with
Yeah.
some types of internet. Go ahead, Six Nations, when you can.
Holy crap!
There he is.
This weather, I swear. Say the movie, the little girl that lived down the lane.
Haven't seen it.
The little girl that lives down the lane. That's the thriller movie with Martin. He's kind of a pederast. He's living in home. He had passed away, and she's basically his pension. It was remember correctly, and she's trying to. He's not off, but he actually died, and she inherited the house and his wealth, and his wife without the landlady and Martin. Sheen's character has a and it was disturbing.
Well, can I jump in now for a second? When you guys were talking earlier, it made me think about the part where when Bruce was saying that, that he didn't think it was believable to be in, what is it, Minneapolis or whatever.
No, that's not believable for it being Boston or anywhere
Okay.
in Massachusetts.
Well, when you were saying that stuff, I was thinking about the part where they were singing out loud at the bar when he was playing the piano. I thought that was totally believable scene. I've seen that happen many times in small towns, at restaurants and at bars, when they have a piano in there, where the people sing out loud and people join in. So I was just going to mention that, and I thought that was a really good scene. It was heartwarming. It was believable to me. It made me have flashbacks to certain things, because I remember I have family that are from Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, and then I also have a family that live in Nova Scotia, Maine, New York, and Massachusetts from my dad's side of the family. So, and I have been to both, and we have had similar things happen at different places where people sing out loud to music, songs, happy birthday, all that type of thing. So that all of that fit really well. And then the part where Uma Thurman's character went and met at the bar, okay, thinking the other guys were coming, because I'm sure the young man that called her said, hey, we're all going to be up here. I'll pick you up. Come hang out with us or whatever. And then she realized that he was trying to use her to make his ex-girlfriend jealous. And she went along with it because she seemed like a fun, loving character, cousin of the bartender, right? Or the bar owner, the establishment owner. And then she fulfills that for him to be friendly. And then he takes advantage of that. Okay. That just shows you his character of being a skank, basically. She tries to help him, and then he gropes her and practically tries to put his tongue down her throat afterward. And it pissed her off. So she left. And so I like that aspect. And then the part where she's sitting in the little fishing hut, whatever, with Timothy Hutton, and they're talking. I think that right there is part of the reason why he realized that he could have a beautiful woman that he could trust when he wasn't there, because here she is, a beautiful woman that's wanted by other men, his own friends, and she's in love. And she's talking about why she loves the other man. And I think that helped him decide his future. Well, go ahead.
What happens for her in that scene?
She realizes that she's lucky to have the man that she has,
And
that
she
wants to
books
share a
out of town.
martini with her and be there for her.
And she's gone from town. The next time we hear about her is, she left. What did you do to her in that ice fishing shack? It's like, it's an amazing thing where not only is she
love it.
providing him wisdom, she's garnering wisdom from the conversation with him. Good night,
And she left.
girl.
She left town to go back to be with the man she loved because she'd been with him for 8 months, and she said she loves just being with him and having a martini and just being with him. She realized that what she had, and that's what I'm saying. Stop trying to change who you're with and love who you're with.
Yep.
That's it. That's what we need to do, and we'd have longer lasting relationships. I honestly do believe that.
But as she says, she only needs 4 words to make her fall in love and stay with a man. Every night she just needs to hear "Good night, sweet girl." Mm-hmm. And the beauty of that is that she's putting this message, which is stop overthinking everything. Appreciate the person you're with and tell them all the time, every day, just once a day, you appreciate that person. And that's all you need to do. That's all the effort you need to make for a good woman who loves you.
Or a man.
Or a man. And if the person you're with is making you jump through more hoops and do more things, like you're saying, trying to be changed from who they are, then they're not the person for you. Mm-hmm. And what does his girlfriend say? Piano players are sexy. Huh? And that's all he needs to know. She says piano players are sexy. And that's all he needs to know. Mm-hmm. That's his good night, sweet girl. You know what I mean? It's such a fucking good movie.
I loved it. I really did. I thought it was a wonderful movie. I'm thankful that you guys got me to watch it. I cried, but it was good.
I'm not a super fan of Natalie Portman's character. Please forgive me on that. I do like her character. I just don't like her arc. She does help Timothy Hutton kind of realize some things that get revealed later with Uma Thurman, and I appreciate that. She's necessary for that arc, but this is like the 4th movie I've seen from the 90s, and the first movie I saw with her, she plays a great Lolita. She's in The Professional. There's a couple other movies she's in where she's kind of that young muse that you shouldn't be looking at because she's underage, and she does that again with this when she filmed it. I think she was 15. I appreciate her character, but I just fucking I despise the Hollywoodism, the script writing they have for young ladies in Hollywood, and I apologize. It's nothing really against her as a person. She does a very good job of reading the script, doing the thing, and making you feel like she's really a 13-year-old that's a little larger than what she should be. And even though I'm going to be 5'10", and she turned out to be 5'3", by the way.
Exactly. I love that whole thing of I could be 5'10", blah 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 blah. And it's like
she barely got past 5 foot, barely over that line. Janet over there smiling. I'm 5'10", and then she hits whatever age.
I'm 5'9", but the thing is, I thought she did a phenomenal job, and I thought she was an important character in this movie. Because when he asked his dad, or not his dad, but he's asking his brother, they moved out next door, and he's like, and
they got a kid.
They got a kid. It's like I know so many people like that. When I go home, because I talk about a lot going to my dad's to work on cleaning out the house and stuff like that. There's still the same people, most of them that live there in this little town of 308 people, and there's a few new ones. But the thing is, they're just like that. They're like, they don't really do anything. They don't really care about anything that's going on. They're just kind of like, And to me, it's sad because this is our one life. This is the one life that we have out of everything in the multiverse or whatever, right? And to sit there each day and get up, go to work, get up, go to work, watch TV, eat, go to work, is sad. That's one reason why I like to do a lot of the things that I'm doing and craft and do other things is I'm always out looking to see what more about the world I can find out about. What is there that I don't know yet? I'm interested in finding out things, trying new things, learning new things. And I wish more people would want to do that in their life because we have this one life. Why squander it? Because tomorrow I could get hit by a bus, and I want each minute of my life to be lived as much as I possibly can live it. And I've lived in lots of different places, and I've been very lucky, and I have wonderful family and friends, and I'm thankful for that. But I just wish more people would have that opportunity or take the opportunity walking out their door and absorb what they have instead of just looking at it like, anybody can have this, because they can't. So many people have less than what you have, and you're sitting there griping and complaining about it. So, and I try to humble myself. I try to say, okay, stop whining, stop being a dumbass, whatever, and just get up and get off your ass and realize what you have. Even though this right here seems bad, it could be worse. And I try to make sure I tell myself that a lot so that I'll remember and not squander what little life I have left on whatever trivial, stupid shit that people seem to be arguing about. I don't know, but I think this movie definitely is got something for everyone. I really do. If you just take the time to sit down and watch it, there's going to be something in it you get something from. I just believe that. Shut up.
Yeah, Marion, I love this man. You'll see him with me next Saturday night after we do our alpha game stream. You squander it because you have to pay bills, and the only way to pay bills is to sell your body to the corporations that drain your life and soul, and you come back dead inside, trudging through life. Somewhat, yes, but you've got to retain. You've got to respect yourself enough to not give all your body and soul to the corporations. That way you have a little bit of energy to do something that makes you smile at the end of the day. Even if all you're doing is being like me and retrobating to photos of yourself when you're in your 20s with your hot girlfriends at the time or whatever, it doesn't really matter. You don't give all of yourself to these corporations and murder yourself. Your efforts should not be 100% just to make yourself enough money to pay rent or to have the mortgage. You need something to go fucking hobby, go table yourself to a hobby and enjoy yourself and just not fucking let your head get lost in the miasma of I got to pay bills and car payment. I have to fucking pay Progressive or Geico, and I have to go suck the dick of the fucking electric company, and I can't forget my fucking $5 donation to the fucking blah 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 poor people blah blah blah. Don't do that. You have to fucking pull yourself back at your job and be like, you guys get 80%. I'm keeping 20 for me. I'm tithing 20% of my energy for my fucking enjoyment. Fuck you. And I know that sounds miserable for some people because they have to go.
Difference between being a gigolo and
Okay, wait. Everybody hold your horses for a second. And yet you lamented Gen X not doing anything?
Okay.
You just expounded the Gen X philosophy right there, sir.
Back in '97, Time Magazine had this miserable article, but they always do every fucking week. But they had this miserable article about how the Gen X people were protesting, but they didn't have a focus for their protest. They were just out there bitching. And that stuck with me for the past 32 years. And I really hate that. Or 25 years, however long 1997 was. I was living in a shitty little apartment on Macon Street, just off of Wood Street in Decatur, Illinois. And I was getting Time Magazine delivered, and I had that miserable article cross my path. And I was frustrated because here I was trying to be a manager at a Menards lumber yard. And I was chasing that dream of being a corporate pole smoker as a 22-year-old. And I didn't realize the folly of such an existence, of just giving your soul.
Pole smoker.
Giving
You know,
your all.
Bruce, you are a wordsmith, sir. I want you to know that.
I'm not. I wish I had half your intelligence, sir.
I'm not. Nothing to do with intelligence. Go fuck yourself, man. What the fuck?
No, you got to pull back and not give so much to people that don't give a shit about you.
Well, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I
can't take it with you. It's what you leave.
Yeah.
You could have all the toys in the world and be miserable and die. Do something to the people in your sphere, better their lives. And in that respect, better yourself, because now you're in this little bubble of positivity.
Mm-hmm.
And fuck the rest. Your job is not
like
the world.
So think about this. We just watched a movie. We've talked about it for a bit, and now we're talking about our lives, our philosophies on life, all because of this movie.
Mhm.
That is the power of a good movie.
100%. I agree.
I would rate this movie a solid 80 out of 100 because it's not quote unquote the perfect film. It's not my wheelhouse. That's the big demerit. Not my usual thing I'd watch, but this is really good. This is a good film, and I would pair this movie up with the movie Singles every day. I would pair this movie up with the movie Singles. If you haven't watched those two movies, good two movies to watch. 3.5 hours of your time, lots of popcorn, and you'll enjoy yourself. Also, Matt Dillon's in both movies. If you like Matt Dillon, that's great. Bridget Fonda's in Singles, I might add.
Yeah, Bridget Fonda.
Yeah.
Smoking.
Yeah, she was great in Jackie Brown too, I might add.
Yes, her ass was fine, and her end scene was brilliant.
Yes, yes, it was. I have to say that a solid 80% is where I rate this movie. Chat, if you've seen this movie, let us know what your score is. Baby Girl says I've already liked this movie. Also, last week, Baby Girl, aside from the audio issues, which that happens, you do have people that have varying audio setups and such. She's like, you guys are fun no matter what show you talk about. Thank you. Well, no, Baby Girl, thank you very much. And I do appreciate you coming by every week and watching us. You're one of our diehards, and I must say thank you for being here.
Yeah, but now I'm here. The fun just stopped.
No.
That's like that fucking asshole who thinks he knows everything. Jesus Christ, this guy.
Well, I just want to say that I am giving this movie a 9 out of 10. I love the script. I think the script is very well done because it covers so many different characters and in such great detail. You just don't get that hardly ever in Hollywood. To me, everything has to be so blown out of proportion and stuff. But to give us the little details and stuff that this script does, I just love that. And I love the vision that the director had when he apparently read this script and said, "I got to make this movie," and he wanted us to see it the way I feel he got his actors to portray it. And I just love him for that. I think it was just phenomenal at it. The sets were wonderful. Just like I said, the quaintness of driving down the road, looking at the two houses and almost feeling like you were with them, unpacking the suitcase in the trunk to take it into the house and say hi to your family and friends or whatever type thing. I liked it. I thought it was when you sit back and you look down the street, the quaintness that they did of that. I didn't even think about it not being the state that or whatever it was or any of those things. That I was totally loved. I was pulled in to it. I loved that. And I loved the little bitty beauty shop. I mean, just all the detail they went into for the high school reunion and just everything. To me, they went above and beyond for the people that did the props, the sets, the clothing. I mean, everything. To me, it was just wonderful because there wasn't anything out of place to pull me out of any scene. Okay, that you don't realize how hard that is for continuity purposes. And you got to realize that each scene that you see with multiple characters, they're filmed from different angles and they have to take everything down, redo it and put it up over there and then film it this direction, do the same dialogue, blah, 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 put everything up, move over, or they have a camera that goes around or whatever, depending on how the director decides to film it. But they did a phenomenal job putting all that together. The music that they picked for the movie, the sounds, it was wonderful. And the fact that the editor was flawless. I didn't see anything that looked like it was cut and pasted together. It flowed through the whole thing. I just thought it was a phenomenal movie. I just really, really loved this movie. It was very, very good.
Well, my problem with it, Janet, is the fact that they said it's Massachusetts. This is the first movie set in Massachusetts I've ever seen where they do ice fishing and they put sheds on the water, on the frozen ice. Yeah, I've never seen that.
That's a real Midwest thing.
I've seen that all the time with Michigan with Upper Peninsula, Minnesota, or with Upper Peninsula, Minnesota, or Michigan films, with Minnesota films, with movies set in North Dakota, with Mystery Alaska. You see shit like that. In Massachusetts, it's really fucking urbanized, and like the little might be a little town there that's quote unquote fictional, but if you actually drive through Minnesota or through Massachusetts, there's a lot of like 5,000 person town, 5,000 person town, 5,000 person town. There's nothing super small like what you see here. This looks like it's maybe a town maybe the size of 1,500 people, to
Oh,
where
no,
like
it's bigger than that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it looked bigger than
Having
that.
grown up in a town of 2,000 people, that town looks like it's a good 5 to 7,000 people live in that town.
Yeah,
It's from that
that's what
game
I
where he
would
walks into the restaurant and he's just going, "Are you whatever? Are you? I'm looking for blah 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 blah," blah," and everybody's like, "Shut up, Bob." You know what I mean? Like it's a bigger town. It's not huge, but it is bigger.
Okay. It just looks like a super small town area, and they do a good enough job of zooming in on these 30 to 40 characters, Steve the asshole husband included, that you think that this movie is set in a town of like maybe 700 people. At least that was the inspiration that I got, because the town I lived in, 300 people. We had a store that closed. We had a bank. We had a post office, and those were the only two businesses we really had at the time when I turned 18. And
Well, one of the reasons
still
I can tell you it's bigger is you've got two bar owners. And in that whole scene where they go to get to Matt Dillon's character after he's been attacked, they're going to the other guy's bar. And the bar owner from the other bar is there. And they're not rude to each other or mean to each other because there's enough business in the town for both of them to exist.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
But I wanted to say the one thing is you brought that up about he wasn't an asshole. Steve was a man that was betrayed by the woman he loved, the woman who's had give birth to two of his children. He had every right to be pissed off and want to beat the shit out of the asshole that's sleeping with his wife.
I'm not saying
but
no.
Also, the woman should also be reprimanded. And I was, I can't stand cheaters. I mean, I just can't. I cannot. I don't even want to be around people once I find out they've done that. To me, that's one of the biggest betrayals that you can ever do. And it's not because I'm a Christian or any of that. It's because when you give your vow to someone, to for better or for worse, if you feel like you don't want to do that anymore, leave, get a divorce.
I absolutely love his line about what is it about small towns who wouldn't see a work belt and they get moist. I fucking died because that is legitimately the town I grew up in. Like I'm like, oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like if a woman sees like you've got like a couple semi trucks on your acreage, she's going to start asking questions if she's available, and even the girls that aren't available are going to still treat you flirty and such, and kind of make sure you feel like you're on the hook for something when they get divorced. And I know that sounds really sexist or what have you, but that's kind of where we're at right now, kids. The world is not a quote unquote a super moral place. I'm looking at Lauren Holly's IMDb right now, and she's a very accomplished actress. I've seen 2 movies of hers now, and one of them was 1986's Band of the Hand, a movie by Michael Mann. We will watch it later next year.
Band of the Hand. It's a great movie.
I haven't seen it.
Great film. And then this movie here.
Awesome movie.
Oh wait, I saw 3 movies of hers. I've seen Down Periscope, and that came out right after Beautiful Girl. But those 3 films are the only things I've seen with Lauren Holly, and she's a really accomplished actress. She's done very well.
I agree.
She in Dumb and Dumber too.
Yes, she was.
Oh, that's right.
Remember.
Dumb and Dumber. She was the love interest.
Holy cow. Okay, 5 movies. Dumb and Dumber and the Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. She played Linda Lee, my mistake.
She does a really good job in that, actually.
Yeah, that's probably her best acting that she's ever done. This movie here,
Yeah,
she played a good cougar and cheater.
I used to like her on Picket Fences.
Never saw
Yeah,
it.
I think she was phenomenal in this movie for her portrayal of her cougar, narcissistic, bitch, basically. Because remember when the young man comes up to her at the reunion and he tells her, I can't believe you're by yourself, because this was probably a girl that he dreamed about through his whole high school, years, and then maybe even years afterward, and then seeing her again all those feelings come back. But then when he says that how evil you were so evil.
You're as mean as a snake.
Yeah. And
But-
the thing is that when he said that to her, she kind of just went, because she's still a narcissistic bitch.
But I love how out of touch he is. Like, even he is the small, one tiny scene character, has a complete moment where you just go, oh my God, this guy is so in denial about himself. Because he goes, I don't know if you remember, I used to have a weight problem. Used to is not part of your equation, my boy. You still have one, but like, it's just, even there, just that one little line shows that this character is in denial about who they are. You know what I mean? It's really brilliant.
Well, honestly, that's another reason why I like this movie, is because all of us, every single person in the world, denies certain things about ourselves. We all do, because we all want to see ourselves better, or see ourselves the way we think we want people to see us,
You're
or
right.
something.
You know what, Janet? You're right. God damn it. I'll accept it. Okay, fine. I am handsome. I'm extremely handsome. Thank you, Janet.
I think you're handsome, and I really do. And I think Bruce is too. And you know what? One of the reasons why...
By saying that, you immediately devalued your compliment to me, because Bruce looks like a thumb.
Well, okay, what I'm trying to say is I look at people...
Should do sexual time. What? Jesse the Body.
I look at people by what their interests are,
Correct.
how they treat me, things like that. That is what, to me, I think makes men attractive. To me, is how they are, who they are, is what makes them attractive. I have seen men that look like what was it, Arnold Schwarzenegger type, and they're repulsive. Some of them are repulsive simply because it's not just your build, just like a guy. When a guy just looks at nothing but boobs or hair or legs, and that's all he cares about, that's all he's going to get. You see what I mean? If you don't expect something for the whole package, you're only going to get whatever flimsy little thing that you think you want. And just like Rosie O'Donnell said, it only lasts so long. You can't be in bed 24 hours a day with that person. You have to have something else besides the 5 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it takes in bed. What are you doing the rest of the time? There's got to be something there to make it last, or it's not going to.
Sorry, I've been co-opted by a cat.
I know. I see.
Hi.
She's jealous because you're not paying attention to her. He's jealous.
He's jealous. Think all cats are female. It's such a weird thing.
I don't know, because they're so affectionate.
It's not just you. It's women.
No, I know, but I think it's because they're affectionate.
How is she? How old is she? It's like he, him, it. Actually, you're an it. You have no testicles.
Oh.
Like if I had a cat like that, I would literally just call it La Negra, and it would. I mean, it would. That would be it, because whenever you see a cat's eyes,
La Negro, because it's
La Negro. Excuse me, because of the guy. Yes, if it was a female, it'd be Negra. But
El Gato Negro.
He's a Negro. I get it. But I think that cat is beautiful, but you don't know it's a cat. You just think it's like a fucking black jelly that jumped onto you.
Yes, I live in a Cthulhu horror. That's what I live in. A good horror.
And speaking of good horror, like if we ever have a good Call of Cthulhu game, I will definitely play a Massachusetts person, because I've got to do fucking Eldritch horror with a Bostonian accent. I can't wait.
What the hell happened in here?
Get in the car.
Get in the car. We gotta get in the car.
And
gotta find the king in yellow.
Xnard, that's the Xnard Prime. I'm telling you, this movie is not a bad film at all. This is a great film to watch. But if you want Massachusetts movies, anything with Matt Damon is going to be fine for you, sir. He does a good accent for the East Coast.
Very true.
Bear.
Yes.
So next week you're going to be out, correct?
No, I'm not. I put all my games on hold until January.
Oh, really? Would you like to watch a movie with us called Greenland from 2020?
Greenland? Like Greenland?
Yeah. I have no idea what it's about. It's about Gerard Depardieu, I believe.
Gallic Fun Boy, Gerard Depardieu.
Yeah.
That's not enticing. Let me just put it that way. 2020 Gerard Depardieu is not an enticement. He's kind of creepy. I'll think about it.
Fair enough. That's all I want to know because
Yeah, that's you talking about my movie that I want to watch?
excuse me, not Gerard Depardieu,
Greenland?
Gerard Butler and Marina Baccarin.
Oh, okay. I'll
She's
check that out.
gorgeous.
All right,
I love her.
Yeah, everybody I know has a stiffy over Marina Baccarin. That's just all there is to it.
I don't.
I do. I'll have two
I
stiffies.
do.
Cute, but she's not a goddess. She's just cute.
She's beautiful.
I think she's pretty damn close to perfection, and I've crushed on her since Firefly.
Oakley dokley, Flanders.
Janet gave us a link for the best fishing in America, Massachusetts ice fishing, which they actually have places to ice fish. I thought Massachusetts was one shitty long urban sprawl. My bad. This is something that I've never known about.
I told you, I have relatives.
I thought it was a massive two shit. Man.
If you live in Massachusetts and you're unaware of the ice fishing phenomenon, I've got a link for you in the chat. Oh, wow. They actually kind of sound rural. 5 Mile Pond near Springfield. 5 Mile Pond sits adjacent to Lake Lorraine and Lake Lorraine Conservation Area. Awesome. Well, with you being able to do that, Bear, if you could join us for Greenland, that'd be the movie we are watching next week, and then we'll discuss it with you, our loyal viewers, and we appreciate your commentary, and we appreciate the fact you're here and watching this with us. Janet, next week, between now and then, what do you have planned?
Well, not much. I'm just going to be trying to do another show. On Thursday, we'll be talking with, it depends. I don't really want to say their name because I'm still working on it. But Team Shit Shows on Thursday, 2.0. And then Friday night, I'll have Ruben and Orange Chat. And maybe, another guest if somebody else wants to join me. Talk about the stuff that's going on around the world, all the bullshit. I do talk about some good things too, but that's what I got planned.
Go ahead, Bear.
What night are you doing this, Janet?
Thursday nights and Friday nights. Those are my 2 nights.
You never know. You never know.
But you're on X, right?
No, I am, but I don't use it.
Oh, I was gonna say the reason I asked is because I have a shit show chat on there, and I share all the links because I find tons of links, and I just put them in there, and then I let the people that want to be on the show say, "Hey, this really pissed me off," or "I really like this. I want to be on the show," and talk about it. So
what really grinds my gears?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Because we have some good stuff, fun things. Stupid shit, stuff that pisses you off, whatever it is. But I love it because to me, it's like a huge release to get stuff off your chest, and so it's good therapy. If I don't lose my channel over it.
Upon the tree of woe.
Because I have gotten a few strikes for stuff I've talked about, so I do piss off YouTube.
I don't believe you.
No.
I've seen your shit shows. They're tame.
Well, YouTube doesn't like it because I have had a few of them taken down and been stopped for 3 weeks from being able to air a show. So, oh well. So I'm doing something right. That's how I look at it.
Six Nations, I really appreciate you coming to the table with us today. I'm thankful that we were able to have you.
Well, thank you. The connection is buffering between 10 and 8, 6.
Listen, it's going to be like that until one of us wins the lottery and can get everybody in the same subdivision or acreage to where we can share the same T1 line and connect. I'm still trying, sir. Bear's like, fuck you, I'm staying in Canada. He's good. I'm good. Give me my Canadian resources. Sir, if I could just get you weaned off the CBC.
I don't watch Legacy Media, baby. I don't watch Legacy Media. Though I am enjoying the shit out of YouTube filling up my watch thing with Canadian journalists freaking out about Trump's joke about the 51st state, and they're taking it so seriously. It's just like,
really?
you fucking people.
If I guess I have to watch that now because I love the freakouts going out since November 5th. This is my fucking 50th birthday present. All this stuff going on since November 5th till now. Everything going on from the Trump bullshit to the WotC fallout and the 50th anniversary D&D being co-opted by people that never fucking played the game until they made it fucking inclusive, which we've never not been inclusive. Bear, did you ever exclude anybody from your game based on an immutable concept that they might be carrying around with them, like sex, age, race?
No, just if they were an asshole. That was usually
Exactly. and that fucking pisses me off much.
That was the assholes at the table. Unless you're friends, and then it's okay.
Yeah. And the thing is that we were all focused on killing goblins and orcs and not trying to get captured by drow and sold to sex slavery. We were so worried about that.
That was an option?
If you read at the end of G3, it was a nasty option.
I never had that put on the table. I would have been, whoa, let's hear them out.
All the drow chicks dressed like they were members of KISS. I loved it.
Let me hear them out. Shut up, Paladin.
Xnard Prime. All right, I got homework to do as an intellectual meandering cynic and see if I can learn to respect different views in this movie that I already feel tempted to hate with a passion. Dude, if you hate this movie with a passion, probably not. It'll at least be like 3 out of 5 stars for you. But I wish you the best if you actually do hate it with a passion, because this is actually a fairly good barometric example of the 90s. It really does a good job of showing small town 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Trench coats.
Yeah, hooded sweatshirts, Carhartt. What about Carhartt? You're fucking missing Carhartt, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a member of the Carhartt Mafia for over 30 years. Anyway, we will be back next week to review and discuss the movie Greenland with, what's his name? That guy, yeah.
Gerard Depardieu. No, Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler
Yeah.
and Moira Baccarin.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, I'm Gerard Butler. I'm playing an Egyptian. How are you? That's just what we sound like in Egypt.
You know what?
Sparta.
We need to watch Gods of Egypt. We really need to watch Gods of Egypt.
I like Gods of Egypt.
I haven't seen it.
It's on the list.
You're on the list. You're on the list.
It's not a good movie, but it is a good movie.
It's a guilty
I just
pleasure.
like it because I get to hang out
It's
with
no
my
Dracula
friends.
2000.
Here's
I
what
love
you
that
don't
more than any
understand.
other.
I was there in Egypt, and that was the Egyptian accent. In fact, I created Egypt. Now I live in the bar.
With that, thank you, one and all, for being here today with us. We'll be back again next Sunday.
I want fish tacos.
Mhm.